All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Tribal Council number one of CTC Deja Vu. And I'm sure for a bunch of you, this is some real deja vu, at least those that went to a first Tribal Council in their season. Um, I don't remember how many of you did off the top of my head, but we'll start this off though with Ollie. So this is a returning player season. Obviously, even in newbie seasons of orgs, like they're not new players to orgs. However, these are all people that have played this specific series. They've at least they have some sort of familiarity with it. So where does that kind of shift your mindset going in, even before the game even starts?
I feel like you kind of have to you with a returning season, you kind of have to start the game with a level of respect for one another because it's kind of like we've all played this game before. So like, yes, we've all played orcs before, like shocking. But if you go into this with the mentality of, oh, well, maybe I can kind of change this or do this, and it's like we've all done this before. Like if you're trying to act brand new, that's when it's kind of like that's how I feel on it. But I love you all. Don't vote me out. Thanks.
All right, so Eric, one thing then too, to go further, there's people here that have played the same season with each other, whether they're on different tribes right now, whether they might be on the same tribe right now. Do you think previous connections in that capacity or in any capacity are going to play a big factor in this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know. Can you hear me or no?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, my thing wasn't lighting up. Um, but yeah, I don't know if like everyone plays, you know, re returnee seasons the same. I don't know if people want to do the same thing with the same people that they've played with before or not. I think it's up to every individual person every time they play a new game. So I think it depends on like what's happening in that game and how you interact with that to be able to decide if people are actually like kind of like playing friend Viver or like playing with people that they obviously like, have played with before and are trying to do it again. So it's kind of just like that. You got to play it by ear and just see how people are actually playing this game instead of trying to take every past thing they've ever done and hold it against them.
Fair. Fair. Speaking of things that have happened so far this game, Derek, that first challenge, very interesting. Um, both tribes spent some sort of money. Your tribe obviously spent more. It's why you're here. So that means something's floating around here. Where does that kind of put your head into going to the first vote when there's no precedent really set so far?
I feel like because this is the first tribal and we've only had such a limited amount of time to really get to know each other, I can't personally focus on speculating who bought what. I don't think anybody's coming off suspicious, at least right now. Um, I have no inclinations as to who may have purchased things. So for me, it's kind of just like every other game scenario where I need to just focus on trying to connect with people, meeting people, talking to people. I would like to believe that those things that have been purchased will come out later and we'll find out as time goes on, but it's not really within my wheelhouse to really like put like a huge precedence on it right now.
It's fair. Um, Jay, so with all of those things considered, sitting here tonight, what are some factors that go into this vote?
Um, I think, um, it's just crazy because the game started so recently, so there's so little really for you to base this vote on, to be honest. It's kind of a little bit chaotic. So, for me personally, this vote was just mostly about trying not to ruffle any feathers, not try because you have to, there are nine other people on this tribe whose opinions you have to consider and who you have to take into account. So for me, it was mostly this vote. The way I'm going to vote tonight is the way I think will probably leave the least people upset after.
Um, Christian, Jay's response honestly is something that I expect to hear from like a first tribal council. That's no shade to you, Jay. It's just general thing. Where everyone just wants to please everybody else, but that first name has to come from somewhere. So, like, is there a fear of being the person to say, hey, X is the name, this is what we should do?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. There is a fear because we're all seasoned players. We've all played this game and other games before, but with this returnee season kind of being like second chances, and not all stars, I think everyone is very weary and nervous about where they stand and who they stand with and who can they tell certain things to without hearing it back like 5 minutes after. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Um, so Julia, today, has there been a lot of back and forth? Has things been pretty straightforward? Like, what are kind of the general vibes going on right now?
I think yesterday it was more like people were talkative. Today it seemed like the first half of the day it was like talkative and stuff and like a one-on-one calls and stuff. But I think towards probably around like I don't know, like 6 p.m. Eastern, it started getting quiet. I haven't really heard from much people, so that makes me nervous and PTSD from my last season, like I played, because that's how it kind of happened. But yeah, I mean, I've heard like kind of the same consensus as far as like the same name going around as far as the vote. But as far as right now, it's been quiet for the last like 5 hours. So that makes me a little cautious and paranoid.
Nathan, when it comes to, things getting quiet, is that always a bad thing in Survivor, or can it sometimes be a good thing?
Um, I mean, it just depends on the where you're placed, I guess. It could definitely be a good thing. It could be a good thing if you think the votes are all unanimous, and that's kind of how that goes. Um, for me, I mean, it's been kind of quiet anyways, I feel, especially later on in the day, like Julia said. So, I mean, in general, it's just a point where it's the unknown. So, I mean, like to me, it's a bad thing, but I'm also a paranoid person. So I'm just trying to feel everyone out.
Um, Alex, don't shake your head. Fear of the unknown is something that I think many of us in life kind of deal with. So in this microcosm of Survivor, you kind of have to put your chips somewhere. So where you stand with kind of putting yourself out on a limb and making sure that people are telling you what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, and like I'm obsessed with the known. I hate unknown things. I'm such a needy bitch, John. I need to know everything, right? And so it makes it hard because this is a game that relies on maybe, keeping truce or like keeping things from other people. But ultimately, like, especially for a first vote, I think it's super important for us as a group to be pretty unified in what we're doing. And so, like, that's at least for right now, that's my known. My known is that our old ultimate goal here is that we come out not fractured, and I have to rely on that, and that's what I'm relying on right now. And if I'm wrong, then that just means that everyone else is unified against me, and I have no idea. So that's where I stand with it.
Kim, when it comes to, that unified mentality, there's bound to be somebody who's not a part of it. So let's say tonight you're left out of this vote, you're still here. How do you rebound from that?
You just try to find out why you were left out and just keep fighting. Like you can't give up. Survivor changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. So you just never know. And I think if you are left out of the vote, if I were to left out tonight, then I would just have to regroup, have conversations that I need to have, and figure it out.
All right. And Stephanie, I'd say of all the people here, you definitely had some of the higher highs and the lower lows in your CTC journey in the past. So what wisdom can you bestow upon us before we go to the vote? I may regret asking the question.
Some wisdom that I don't know what the word is, like bestow on you all, I guess is the word I would thinking of, is don't talk shit on people and refuse to talk to them. And I'm not saying anyone on the tribe is doing that currently. I'm just saying that's what I did on my season. So, like, don't do that. Like, learn from past mistakes and try not to do them again, or else it will end up bad. That's why I'm just like, I'm here to be more entertaining and less mean, because I want tribe morale to be high.
All right. With that, does anybody have anything they want to add before we go to vote? Ollie.
I'd just like to say, John Buckley, it's a toot from me.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, unfortunately for one of you, your second chance will be cut short real quick. So with that being said, we're going to get into the voting period. You all have until 10:17 to finalize your votes, and then we will move on from there.
Now, this isn't y'all's first time, so you know what time it is. Now, as always, is the time for shout outs. Say hi to your prod chat guest, tell us about your day, the VL, show me some pets, get talking.
Shout out Karen's ASMR intro just then.
I'll shout out my prod guests, Casey, Scott, Tolis, and then I'll give a special shout out to Andrew, who I invited to watch this game to add to my prod chat, and then I found out my prod chat was full. So sorry, Andrew. Wow.
I guess I'll go. Shout out to my prod guests, Drew and Mike V. Thank you guys for being there.
Guess I'll shout mine out as well, so they feel nice. Shout out Keddy, Haley, and John. Also, is John Buckley here? Again.
He's probably doing votes, I imagine.
No one will get this reference, but I just want to ask him how his butt is.
Oh.
If you know, you know.
Not on the live. Not on the live.
Going to shout out Survivor Now podcast. If you don't subscribe, it's a good Survivor podcast to subscribe to.
All right. I do have the votes. At this time, if anybody has an idol or an advantage and you would like to play it, now would be the time to do so. All right, once the votes are read, the decision is final. The person voted out will be asked to leave the tribal council Zoom call immediately. First vote, Nathan. Julia, 1 vote Nathan, 1 vote Julia. Nathan, 2 votes Nathan. Julia, that's 2 votes Nathan, 2 votes Julia. Julia, that's 3 votes Julia, 2 votes Nathan. Julia, that's 4 votes Julia, 2 votes Nathan. Julia, it's 5 votes Julia. First person voted out as CTC survivor Deja Vu. Julia, that's 6. That is enough. Anything you would like to say?
Nope. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you for coming back, Julia. We were so glad to have you.
No problem.
All right. Well, you survived your first tribal council. However, it's nowhere close to being done. So strap in. Ready for a wild ride. Yeehaw. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. Yep, I'm gonna stop. We're just gonna want this to end right